So just to give some backstory on myself, I'm a violinist. I play the piano and I play the guitar. And nowadays I also compose and I write some music and songs and lyrics and I sing a little bit as well. My dad taught me how to play the violin when I was very young. He taught me and my sisters how to play along with the students that we have inside our music school. He started me off with violin and along the way he introduced piano and then guitar. Over the last 17 years of me playing, I've had moments where I had a teacher and where I didn't have a teacher on all three of those instruments. So I've had both sides. I know what it's like to be studying under a teacher and having those weekly lessons. And I know what it's like to just be kind of a free-for-all student where you're just doing your own thing, you know, you're in your room and you're doing what you want on the instruments that you have. And so today, we're going to go over the pros and cons of being a self-taught musician. One of the main things that I have found in being a self-taught musician, learning songs on my own, not having a teacher around, is that you have to go find all the answers on your own. When you have a teacher, you're able to go to them, you're able to ask questions, you're able to get their advice on certain things, you're able to get help, and that makes things a lot easier in the long run. I think that when you're on your own, it's like you're a lone traveler in the wild, and you have your map, which is Google, and you need to go out and find the answers once again on your own. And so that's a major benefit to having a teacher, and of course a con for not having a teacher and being self-taught. You have to find everything out on your own. All the new stuff that you learn, it's just you. You don't have anybody to run it by. You don't have anybody to explain it to you or break it down. Which makes it a lot more difficult, in my personal opinion, to kind of level up. All the new stuff that you're learning, all the new concepts and techniques, it's kind of, it takes some work to go over the words and find the definitions. And once again, you can't really ask advice of anybody, of your teacher, because you don't have your teacher around. So that's definitely a major con that I find in being a self-taught musician. The second major con that I'm going to go over right now is sometimes it feels like you're not learning or you're not improving. I've noticed for me in being self-taught, it sometimes feels like I'm hitting a plateau. In having a teacher, myself, it was like we were always going to the more difficult song, and the more difficult song, and the more difficult technique, and the new technique, and we were going up and I was learning new things over time, over a year, over 3 years, over 5 years. With being self-taught, it's like you're learning techniques, but you don't always feel this kind of gradual process, and you don't feel the growth. You don't feel like you're getting into a new space. Because it's just you. You might not always be going outside your comfort zone in terms of songs and in terms of learning new key signatures or time signatures. You might you might be staying inside this kind of pocket right here. In the long run, that's a major con, because you could have made all this progress if you had a teacher, but because you don't, you kind of stayed in your pocket. You stayed in what you like to do, which is fine and good in the right time and in the right season. But over time, it definitely, you definitely feel like you're kind of the same, like you're not leveling up. You always want to grow. You don't really want to stay the same. So that's a major con of being self-taught. It's very easy to hit plateaus and not get out of them. That's, if you have a teacher, you can really know and see that you're doing better, that you're learning new things, and you take a look at your notes and you're like, oh wow, a few months ago I was here, but now I'm here. That's of course under the right teaching conditions and under the right, with the teacher having the right mindset and the student having the right mindset, the student actually being attentive, wanting to be there, which is very important. The student wanting to be there, the student practicing, the student giving the instrument and the music the proper attention. When I talk about you actually improving, that's what I mean. Let's go to some of the pros, because there's also a lot of good pros that come along with being self-taught. The first pro that I'm going to go over is it's very fun, because you get to learn what you want to learn. You're not made to learn and practice songs that you don't really want to learn and practice. When you're under a teacher, it's very much you following them in most cases. Of course, there's teachers out there that allow freedom and, aren't too rigid with their students. But when it's just you, you have a good amount of, when it's just you, you are the leader, and you can choose what you want to learn, what you don't want to learn. You can go learn those songs that you want to learn, especially if you're learning piano or violin, even guitar, most likely with any instrument. You can do what you want to do. And when you have a teacher, you can do what you want to do a lot less. You cannot really, take the reins and go in the direction that you want to go in. It's always what they say, and they'll try to tell you what sounds good, even though good is very subjective, especially in art. That's a major pro when it comes to being self-taught. You are in the driver's seat, and you can go in whatever direction that you want to go in. Also, another pro to being self-taught is that it's very casual and relaxed. This may have just been me, but in my lessons, I found it almost stressful at times, probably because I didn't practice, probably also because I didn't understand the concepts that my teacher was trying to teach me. And I'm not going to go into a circle, but of course I didn't practice because I didn't understand the concepts and I didn't really want to be doing what we were doing. But that's for a different video. That's for my other videos. In classical music, it's very much you have to get it right kind of setting, which has, itself, it has its pros and cons. But when you're self-taught, when you're by yourself with the instrument, there's none of that stress. There's none of that pressure, I'll say. It's really you, the instrument, and you're really building an intimate relationship with the instrument. I can really see when, it's not just you and the instrument, but it's you, the instrument, and a third party. You have a different relationship with the instrument and with music. It's not you and the piano or you and the violin. It's you and the violin, but also your attention is on your teacher or your attention is on the audience, which I don't think is the best. You really have a different relationship with your instrument and with the music itself when it's just you and the instrument. When you have a third party telling you, oh, that was wrong, or critiquing you, critiques have its time and place, but having that third party doesn't allow you to build a relationship with just you and the violin or you and the instrument. I think it'd be good if musicians definitely took time and built a relationship with their instrument without any other party, such as the audience, such as any listeners present. Because that space, and I've been there, that space when it's just you and the instrument and the emotion, it's something very special and it's something very raw and it's something very real that after you develop that and have it with you, you can then go out on the audience, and the audience will get a different experience of you as a musician. And it's that intimacy that people see that is very eye-catching, because people, art is something very interesting because it's usually you showing your deepest thoughts, your deepest emotions, but it's with everybody watching. Art and music is something very special in that way. And the more you can develop that intimacy between you and the instrument, the more people are drawn in by your performance. I kind of went off into a little tangent, but this is definitely a pro of being self-taught. When you're self-taught, it's just you and the instrument, and you have a very intimate relationship with it. And it's something that you really can't get, in my personal opinion, with having a third party always present, like a teacher, like a parent, like the audience. Definitely another pro of being a self-taught musician. I think that, as I mentioned, there's a lot of benefits to having a teacher, but there's also a lot of benefits to being self-taught. And it's good to look to see what you are looking for, what your goal is with your instrument, with music, and defining that and having that be at the forefront of whatever kind of path that you choose to be on for however long. I think, once again, it'd be very good if musicians take some time and take a step back, really, and just have and build a relationship with the instrument, of course the music as well, you the instrument, but also the music and the emotion that you're trying to communicate with the music. What kind of vibe are you trying to give off? What are you communicating with the music? I think that's a very good kind of thought conversation to have. Lastly, I think if I had to think of the ideal setup as a student, it would be one where I, as a student, would lead the curriculum, right? I would bring my goal into the setting, and my teacher would be supporting me in getting to that goal that I have for myself. It wouldn't be one where the teacher is mainly leading the curriculum. Of course, they would be leading the curriculum in the sense that they will be teaching the student the skills necessary, the techniques necessary, the knowledge necessary. But all of that would be the techniques, the knowledge, the songs, going towards the goal of the student, whatever that goal is, no matter how simple or great. Of course, the simpler the goal, the less need that there is for a teacher. But the greater the goal, the greater the need for the teacher, I'll say. So these are my two kind of pros and cons. And let me know what you think. And I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.